Today I'm going to take you through my warm-up routine, which I carry out before each and every session. It's a protocol popularized by Ian Jeffries called the RAMP protocol, and it simply stands for raise the heart rate, activate specific muscles, mobilize around key joints, and potentiate or prime the central nervous system. It really gets you moving, grooving, and fired up and ready to train. It will last 8 to 10 minutes. Come and join me. A couple of the key focus areas of today's warm-up are the thoracic spine, the mid to upper back, and the hip region. Due to the postures we find ourselves in on a day-to-day basis, we're in this rounded forward head posture. Phones, laptop, cars, and it's just the way things are these days. So we have to address those in the warm-up. So starting using the foam roller, we're going to go with thoracic extensions. So roller situated in the midsection of the back, feet flat, firmly on the floor, as with the bum as well. So we don't want to be coming up off the floor here. Hands behind the head and pin the elbows in. We don't want to excessively extend through the cervical spine and be yanking away at your neck. Remember, we're trying to influence the thoracic spine. So hands behind the head, pin the elbows in, apple under the chin. And now using the roller, we're going to come over and round, and we're not coming up into a full crunch here. So we're just coming up to neutral. We're promoting extension here in the thoracic spine as we work around the roller. Slow and controlled is what we're looking for before we start building intensity later on in the warm-up. Simply roll down, and now we do the same here, 5 to 6 reps, working around that roller, slow and controlled, and again, not yanking away at the neck. And finally, just between the shoulder blades, and with this one, I actually like removing the hands and coming up like so, and extending up around the roller. So if you've got any vertical pressing, so shoulder pressing work, you can see how the thoracic spine will actually really influence getting overhead freely into shoulder flexion. So if you're immobile in the thoracic spine from excessive sitting, that can really impact you throwing some dumbbells or barbells overhead. We're going to continue working through the thoracic spine, again in extension, using the roller, pushing the head through, and then coming back to start position. So we push through, extending as far as you can, and then back to start position. You can also oscillate slightly in that end range position. And in terms of repetitions, anywhere between 8 to 10 repetitions here. It is just the warm-up, so we haven't got to be as specific with how many reps we're doing. We're now going to leave the roller, and we're going to get this spine moving from flexion to extension. You've probably seen this one done before. Hands stacked below shoulders, knees in line with hips. And I'm actually going to bring some breath work in as well, just to promote a bit more range. So we're going to go 5-second inhalation through the nose to try and get some air into the upper back. You'll see what I mean in a second. So it's so 5 seconds through the nose, really coming up into flexion before we exhale through the mouth and move into extension. We see a lot of people here, when they go into extension, they'll start flexing at the elbow, keeping the arms completely locked. We're trying to promote range through the spine, remember. I'll show you a couple of reps in real time with the breathing. So it's we're going to bring the roller back in now. We've worked primarily through extension with a bit of flexion there. We're now going to add some rotation in as well. So from here, hands stacked below shoulder, we're going to rotate and reach through. So it's pushing up with the roller. We're now promoting both extension, but also rotation of the T-spine. We're also getting a lovely stretch through the lats on this left side, which again, we're trying to counteract the postures we find ourselves in on a daily basis. If those lats are really bound down, they're going to restrict that shoulder position and pull it down and round. So really opening up those lats as well as the T-spine is super important. I'll show you a few on this side as well. So hands stacked, knees below hips, thumb up to the sky, and rotate and reach. Really try and follow it with the eyes as well to get that end range, otherwise you're just going to get to here. So we want to get that rotation at the top position. So again, will really help with that overhead range. So any shoulder pressing, get this one into your routines. We're now going to look primarily with just rotation. So hands stacked in front of the shoulder this time to allow the roller to move freely. I'm going to come across the body, again following with the eyes. I get some good buy-in on this one from my boxers. So I say, look, if you're immobile in your thoracic spine through rotation, you're going to be really restricted in winding those hooks up. So it's going to make you more powerful. They like that one. So it's eat it through and really promote that range. I'll show you a few on this side. So it's hand in front of shoulder, roller feeds through, and again following with the eyes. We're now going to do something very similar. It's actually promoting exactly the same thing, but you may prefer this one. I find you actually get a little bit further and deeper into it with the roller, but it's hand behind the head, feed the elbow down and round, and then opening up to the sky, pushing into the floor with that left hand to increase range of motion. So it's open up. Remember, this warm-up is counteracting what you do on a daily basis. So just doing, 5 minutes of this, it isn't going to give you all of the answers. But if you layer this every single day, 8 to 10 minutes, even a couple of times a day, whilst focusing on improving your posture, minimizing sitting down, and then obviously following a structured strength conditioning program to strengthen those key areas to improve your posture over time, it will really help. Now going to move into using the roller in this half kneel position. And the reason we've got the roller here, you could either use a partner or block it off on a rig, is because we don't want this full sense of range. What I mean by that, if this roller wasn't here, that leg would be coming out and you're like, yeah, I'm getting great range, or you're not really getting it through the right area. Remember, we're trying to promote range through rotation in the thoracic spine. So blocking yourself off and getting this dissociation between the lower and upper extremities is really important for this one. Nice tall posture, neutral head position, and it's rotate as far as you can without losing that roller. You just go 5 reps here, because there is a phase 2 to this one as well, which I'll show you. So this is phase 1, pause, and then phase 2, rotate and reach. Always do it in 2 phases, so control, open and reach. Notice the hand position, thumb up to open that shoulder up. So it's rotate phase 1, reach and rotate phase 2. Show you a few on the other side as well. Rotate initially for phase 1. And then moving into phase 2, pause, open and reach. So already my thoracic spine is feeling a lot more mobile. We're now going to show some love to the hips as well. We're just going to start with single leg rockers. So this is a great way to get that groin area, the adductor complex, nice and mobile. And again, we don't want to be aggressive with this. We just want to be small motions forwards and back. The key here, guys, is we don't want to flex that leg. This leg needs to be completely straight to really influence the structures around that groin area. It's very small motions. If you'd like to add to it, you can go thumb up a little bit, and that gets a little bit deeper into the hamstring as well. Just play around with this position here. We find in training, everything is sagittal plane dominant, up, down, forwards and back. So we've got to start opening up these other areas and working multiple planes of motion, like the frontal plane, out to the side of the body, or the transverse plane, bringing some rotation in. Everything we do at Perform 365 is 360 degrees. We're trying to optimize human movement and not just, though I love a bicep curl, but not just do sagittal plane single joint motions. I'll show you a few on this side as well. So getting set up from here, it's just forwards and back. Very small motions. If you want to get deeper in, again, please don't just dive into this one. Ease yourself in. Then we're just going to do a double leg rocker. So from here, and then just forwards and back. Just be careful on this one as well. Very small motions. This is the one we say don't make eye contact with anyone in the gym. Just very small, controlled motions to mobilize those hips and adductor region. If you want to go a bit deeper, you can go hands down and just shoot forwards and back. And the final part of phase one, the floor-based drills, is a basic hip flexor stretch. Not ideal using the roller. Try and find, a bench or something like that that can be a little bit more stable, but this works pretty well for us. So from here, in this position, we want the rib cage and pelvis stacked. And what I mean by that, we don't want to be in this flared position. Again, we're trying to influence the hip now. So keep this locked down. Imagine someone's jabbing you in the abs, keep this tight. We're trying to lengthen and elongate these structures here. Think of this like an elastic band. When you're sitting down for extended periods throughout the day, that band is in a short position. We want to do the opposite. We want to try and lengthen that band, because if these are tight, it's going to impact your pelvis, which then impacts your lower back. You then throw a heavy bar on your back. It might not be the smartest thing to do. So from here, lengthen the elastic band and simply push the hips through. So we're putting this hip flexor and anterior hip region on stretch. And there's something called reciprocal inhibition. Without going too in depth here, you've got when one muscle contracts, the opposing muscle relaxes. So contracting the right glute will then heighten the level of stretch on that hip flexor. Remember, this is the area we're trying to target. So contract that glute and you get greater stretch through here. If you want to add to it further, I'm pretty tight through this region, but if you want to add to it further, I'll show you. You can rotate and reach. That's getting the whole anterior hip complex nice and mobile. And this doesn't just need to be done before a workout. This can be done throughout the course of the day. If you're sitting down for extended periods, in the office, at your desk, you might get some funny looks doing this in the office, but I recommend, getting up every couple of hours and just getting nice and mobile. I'll show you a few on this side as well. Also be careful that we don't want this to be too high, because you're going to then just be pulled into that extension posture and clogging up the lower back. Remember, rib cage to pelvis, this is engaged. The left glute now is engaged and the left hip flexor is on stretch. And then we can rotate and reach across the body. And that's really addressed issues around the hip complex and the thoracic spine. And phase one of our warm-up is now concluded. So phase one is floor-based, and now we're going to light up the system, get the blood circulating around the body and raising the heart rate with phase two, which is called movement preparation.